I have been moved to make this video by the current, that is, the 2024 contest for United States President. In recent times, most U.S. presidential elections have been characterized by political leaders as the most important election in history. Each side in the elections claims the vast importance of the election of their candidate. That is what is taking place in this election. Both sides claim catastrophe if their man does not win. In the case of this election, I have never seen such mean-spirited and brutal attacks on a person's character and personal traits as I am seeing being used against Donald Trump. The actual issues are being ignored. Allow me to reminisce about other elections I have seen. I was born in 1938. The first election I was much aware of was the 1948 election. I lived in a Republican stronghold area. When we went to the movies and saw newsreels showing President Truman, he would be loudly booed. I was convinced that Tom Dewey must win the election and end the supposedly awful reign of President Truman. The election went against polls showing Dewey with a large lead. It was a remarkable upset. I was very upset when Truman won the election. So there I was, a 10-year-old boy, upset with an election result. The 1960 election was the first one I voted in. It is memorable for having the first TV debates in a presidential election. The first of the two debates, the Democratic candidate John Kennedy, looked good on TV and spoke well. The Republican candidate, Richard Nixon, looked somewhat haggard and was not so articulate as Kennedy. In the second debate, Nixon got better TV makeup and spoke more confidently, but the public did not forget the first debate. Kennedy won, and I can't help but think this is an omen of what is to come in the 2024 election. In the first debate between Trump and Biden just days ago, Biden made a worse impression than Nixon had in his first debate. The 1964 election changed the political face of the southern states. The former Confederate states had previously voted mostly with the Democratic Party. Because the Democratic Party had pushed for civil rights for African Americans in 1964, 5 of the southern states and Arizona, Barry Goldwater's home state, voted Republican. Those were the only 6 states that voted for Goldwater. I lived in the North in those days. The mockery and hate of Barry Goldwater were the most I had seen in any political candidate up to that time. In 2016, Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton. Trump was much reviled by some for his private life. Others didn't like Clinton for being a woman. In 2020, Trump was challenged for the presidency by Joe Biden, President Obama's vice president. Trump lost the election but claimed it had been stolen. The argument over whether Trump had really won the election continues to this day. The height of the argument came in January 6, 2021. a crowd of Trump supporters broke into the Capitol building, where the outcome of the election was being formalized. Trump had encouraged them to stop Vice President Pence from declaring Biden the winner. At least one of the rioters brought a rope with a noose to hang Pence. The worst day in America since Pearl Harbor. Hatred and violence seem to be rising in our most recent elections. In 1948, they just booed President Truman. Now we have seen a mob attacking the Capitol building. Please remember these three things. 1. No matter which candidate wins, life will go on. It doesn't matter that much. 2. The most important election in U.S. history was the election of 1860 that elected Lincoln. The second most important election was 1932 that elected Franklin Roosevelt. The election of 2024 won't be more important than those elections. 3. Stay out of political demonstrations and rallies. As nuts as some people are getting over this election, you might get hurt. Watch the election on TV and enjoy the show at home.